William, I think we lost connection to you. Are you with me? I lost connection to you. As you probably saw, we just got disconnected here on Skype, but nothing can stop us. I can tell you, nothing can stop the truth from coming out. If we have to try to reconnect 1,000 times, then that is what we do. And we did it, maybe not 1,000 times, we did it a few times here, and we succeeded. And let's continue, William. We were talking about abduction. We were talking about people being taken away for abductions. Isn't that what we in public normally would describe as Milab operation?
Yes, exactly. And a lot of people have talked about the Milab operations. Usually when you're in Milab operations, it's because you have had contact with these visitors or these others, and for long periods of time, all your life. It seems that you're, even from your birth on, you know, my family, my grandfathers, also from what I heard through family, my great-grandfathers, my grandfather, my mother, me, now my kids, you know, that's what I'm talking about, the generational thing. And I believe that that's part of the MyLab thing too. If they know that you're part of their, the others program, well, then they want to know as much as they can. They want to be involved in that situation. So they abduct you. That's when you end up in underground bases, things of this nature, a lot of testing going on. Then they get you into their programs to go do things. And that's how people end up in the secret space programs and other limited access programs. They just seem to despair. They don't want people that are out there in the spotlights, you know, really, in the beginning and everything, like movie stars and all this. They want somebody that's kind of under the screen, you know, that they can work with, that they can train, they can manipulate and everything and work and do what they want them to do. Also, a lot of the people in the MyLab are given an option. You know, they're shown things and told things. You're going to help humanity. You know, your genetics are going to be insured when everybody else is gone, you know, to continue on. Different things of this. When you're younger, all these things are like hitting you, you know, you're like, wow, you know, are you serious? You know, but the way it is done is so covertly, you know, and so well done psychologically and everything that the individual doesn't really realize it until later on in life. You know, they get brainwashed, you know, they have implants planted in them. If the aliens wanted you, or their others wanted you, the visitors, they go by your biofrequency. You know, they don't have to put a chip in you, like, you know, and follow you around like cattle. You know, that's kind of what the government has to do, because they can't tune in to your biofrequency like the others do. No. And that's a very important thing for people to understand that have been abducted or think that they've been marked. I got, you know, this back here. It has been there all my life, and it never heals, you know. And my wife checks it out, you know, off and on, and my daughters have the same thing, you know, in the back of their head. They have marks on their legs and things of this nature too. So I know that the whole family is pretty well involved in the program. But what was interesting, we're talking with the MyLab, my wife and I, at very young ages, we're talking 5, 6 years old, had the same experience with beings coming in our room during the same time. We didn't know this until 5 or 10 years after we were married.
Okay.
We started talking about things.
Yeah.
So are they putting people together? Yes, they are. You know, the MyLab programs that they got going right now are in every aspect of everything you can think of, as far as the elites plan to take things over, and this secret space program, and dealing with the visitors back and forth. It's kind of like a buffer zone.
I want to ask you a question, and some people probably think it's a dumb question, but I'm asking you because there is a lot of people that don't know exactly what MyLab is. There is a lot of people who never heard the word MyLab or Milab Operations, MyLab crew, personnel. Those behind MyLab, is that aliens or is it humans, or is it, as I said, aliens, other species controlling that, or is it a collaboration?
Okay, at times it's a cooperation. you know, and there's a reason for that because of who's really controlling the government and the systems that are going on and what's happening in the world right now. Mainly, though, the people that are dealing with you are military, and they're underground all the time. All the time. As a matter of fact, they try to make you think that they are the aliens many times until you get wise to the situation. You can feel these things. Like I said, most of the people that are in these programs, you know, I get this funny feeling. You know what I mean? And we all do it. That's enhanced in these people that are in the Milab programs and everything, because they're grabbing individuals that the visitors have already dealt with, that they're already in the program working with them and knowing what's going on. We have the breeding programs, control programs going on, all this stuff through the Milab, where the extraterrestrials have an agenda that they are continually working on. They're never going to stop doing that. And it has to, a lot of it has to do with, you know, us and our development, and that's it, you know, continued development, because our development is helping their development. The Milab wants to get in as much as they can with that.
When you're saying us and our development, I keep getting the word karma into my mind here. Do you think those that are taken up are pre-selected already before they were born on this earth to be a part of this program?
You know, that's an interesting way to put it. Me being a shaman and everything, I believe that we have a choice when we're coming to this planet, coming into this realm, this earth. Our parents, we can choose them, this and that. You know, this is a shamanic way of looking at things. And it's very interesting because a lot of people I know, got this fly around here, a lot of people that I know that are dealing with these programs, it's all come from birth. So that's a possibility, you know, because they're working at different levels here of energy, of intelligence, of, if you want to use the word spirituality. They believe more in the cosmos, the life, things of this nature, but some of them have been altered and engineered to be to the point where they're just kind of the machines doing the job. You know, if I'm trying to enhance something, take care of a favorite horse or a cow or something to enhance that to be better for an environment later on, well, then it's not going to understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. I just have to do it, you know, as like the scientists do in the lab. The Milab want to know everything that's going on in the military. These people in these limited access programs and everything want to know everything that's going on with these visitors. As I said, we are in conflict with some, you know, so it is to our beneficial benefit to keep them at bay, you know, so things can be developed in a more positive way. But those that are in control behind the scenes right now are bad news, and we got some bad things coming. It's like a freight train heading at us right now, and that's why the Milab situations are in full effect right now.
So it's up to us as a human species to select those people that can bring us a better future.
Bingo.
And now we're having a presidential election in the United States of America, and that would be a good place to start selecting the right people.
Number one place to start.
That would be
number one place to start.
Yes, exactly.
You know, I have to say that. You know, we don't like what's going on over here. You know, and it's funny you say that because I made a post on Facebook to Russia and Putin that says, "Hey, if you're going to attack us and everything, hit the government centers and everything. Leave the population alone." You know? And everything like that. I was hoping Putin would get that. We got some bad situations. I've seen the future on this. You know.
Will you tell us who you would vote on? Will vote on?
I've already voted for Andrew, another individual. It's not even in the ticket. He's writing because yes, and my reasoning for that is we just need somebody that is totally different. You know, Trump, he's been thrown into the mix here, and that's kind of a wild card for them. That's scared. You know, the elite are those in the real control. What's going on right there really scared the daylights out of them. And with Hillary, we're pretty well guaranteed to go to a conflict situation, more war and everything, because more conflict, the more strife and fear you have, the more control you have. And, you know, disarming of the people and taking native sacred lands and things like this right now. In America, things are really upside down. So I agree with you 100%. We need to start here in America.
But though now you're saying Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump, and both of them represents, well, how should I say it, a specific future with a specific things that will happen if they get elected.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a part of? I think if we need to get to the point where it all gets better and we start to helping lifting ourselves up, wouldn't we need to get through some processes, and Donald and Hillary could be a part of that process that we need to get through to get to the other side to see what we did wrong and what happened when those people stood up and lied during their election, say we will do this, we will do that, and they never did it. Don't you think that the people of America needs to wake up, and one of the ways to wake up the people is when they select someone that is wrong and they see the result in the end of the presidential period?
I know exactly what you're saying, and the main thing here that we have to understand that most humans are pretty lazy. You know, they got their radial tires, their big screen TVs. They're not going to worry too much as long as that continues to go on. You know, there's a select portion of the population that will learn. The other are too busy with their daily lives. I mean, some in America, the economic situations, the gap between those who have and those who have not are getting very, very wide. And that always creates some type of civil unrest. The good thing, what I like about what you said right there, is the aspect of learning. With Obama the last 2 years, 2 terms, and Hillary so close to what's happening, and Trump just kind of doing this. The thing about it is Putin likes Trump. This should be a lesson for all of us. Other countries like Trump, because he's willing to step back and accept them for who they are and look at this. And a lot of people, they're all control structures. Throw that out the window. We have to look at what's really going on. With the Hillary situation, a lot of people, even Democratic people that believe in the Democratic the situation, are looking at the freebies, a lot of freebies. If Hillary gets in, there's going to be more government intervention and everything, more government control in all aspects of our lives. And the other countries that are out there, except for the Arab countries, several of the Arab countries that they got a lot of money from, do not like her. And Putin said if she gets elected, there's a high chance that we'll go into a nuclear conflict. First, it'll be conventional, but it could go in higher. This is where we need to learn. We need to see this picture right now. Every human being out there in the United States, get it in their head. We have 2 individuals here. We have to pick the lesser of the conflict of the 2 here. So they need to wake up and pick. I will say Trump right now, even though I want somebody else in, it's very obvious that individual won't get in this year. But when you have these 2 right here, this one's going to be better, I will say, Trump than Hillary, because we will go into a conflict quicker. I know some other things that behind the scenes that I really can't say right now, but there's a high chance of going into war with the thing. But the people are learning. More people, native peoples, regular peoples, blacks, whites, there's no race, there's no religion here when people are looking at this. They just want to get through this situation without going to war, without going to an economic collapse, which could turn into a global situation. And I've seen this a long time ago when I was young. They taught me that this period of time was coming. And so I prepared for this period of time. And I try to get other people to prepare for this period of time.
Do you think that someone already have pre-selected the next president?
Hillary was pre-selected.
She was
right off the top.
And you believe that she will be the next president?
Well, I was told that there was going to be 2 terms of a black president and 1 term of a woman president. That's what I was told. And I still hope and pray that that doesn't happen. I'm going to be honest with you.
I read those.
But
too.
That's what I've seen. I've seen that 3 years, and was told that 3 years before Obama was even elected into office first.
Okay, enough of political talk. This is not a political debate. We are just going on a little turn. We are turning the wagon back on the road here, and we are going back to Mars.
Yes, definitely.
You were on Mars. What which time were you there the longest time, or how long time have you been there the longest time you were there?
The longest time that I can remember there, I would say right around 90 days, a 90-day period. And that's because we were setting up, it was beginning phases and everything, we were setting up new teleporting things, we were testing out transponders, telesponders, things of this nature. There are certain creatures that you have to kind of pacify, I'll use that word, you know, like the pterodactyls that we talked about, pterodactyl type creatures, okay, that Andrew and I had talked about, Basiago. Those things aren't up there flying around anymore because they were a very bad danger aspect of what's going on. And you can't have VIPs or people that has invested large amounts of money in these programs that are coming up to check and see what's going on too. And then they come back to Earth. You have to take care of them and all of this. Also taking scientists out so they can gather information, you know, on everything that's going on out there, the different type of life forms and things of that. The mosses, the lichen type things, the other plant type structures that are in different areas and things, fungi type situations. There is standing water up there. The top of it freezes over, you know, during the night times and everything, but when the temperature comes back up during the day, it starts coming out sides of craters, leaking back in, filling things up. So there is water there. And right now there is a terraforming type operation going up there, with new microbes and everything were introduced into the atmosphere of Mars and things like that. So that's why all of a sudden NASA's finding methane. You know, they're finding, you know, more things all the time up there right now. And that's because there is a larger microbe content taking place up there right now to work in the atmosphere to try to create a thicker one. Also, one thing I will tell you, the comet that went by and touched Mars's atmosphere dropped a lot of stuff in the atmosphere, they found out too. So the atmosphere is changing there. It's changing there. They're trying to get things ready for when they're on Mars, for when things get bad here.
Have you any idea of how many people are present on Mars at the time? Or when you were there?
During my time, yeah. I always try to correct, you know, somebody that right now, I do not know. When I was there, I know for a fact it was probably right around, well, I'll say 1,200, 1,500 people. That was it. And that was on Mars in the craft and the program, going back and forth, things of this nature.
What year?
And that's logistics. Those were when the first times that I had went up period was right after I had went into the service and everything. So in the 71, 72, you know, area, time period, 70 time period, I'd been in programs before that and everything, but in the military, that's when that started, you know, on the Mars program and everything. And we didn't call it the Mars program. It was never talked about as the Mars program or anything. You know, we always, well, you've been there yet. You know what I mean? It was kind of talking like we talk about houses in Vietnam or any of the conflicts that we've been in. Hey, your hooch still standing? You know, your hooch. We don't talk about your house. We have slang. Like one of the craft that we jump in and ride on Mars itself and cruise around. It's called Bulldog. You know? So I'll go get a Bulldog and go do this because it was kind of thick, you know, a little longer and everything, but it was all terrain. I mean, it's the best thing you could have. But I'd like to have one here. Now
you're saying a craft. How is the infrastructure on Mars? How is people being transported around when they are underground? You know, here on planet Earth, you can go take the bus or the train, or you could take a bicycle or your car. How do you do it on planet Mars?
It's very similar to that. You have a lot of underground that you do. You have Bulldog that can go on the surface. You have flying craft, you know, and we're talking anti-grav stuff here. You know, there are certain areas that we go to and certain areas we don't go to. You know, because there are limitations of what we can do. I can get into that some other time. But so you have your regular transportations that you can move around on and get point A to point B in relative time. Any distance you're in a craft like a jump ship, something like that. Those are from, you know, atmosphere to ground back and forth, and very effective, very quick craft, very reliable. You don't have any breakdown problems up there on Mars. If you do, you're in deep stuff, you know, but you have your communications. You can call for help right away. Most everything that's done on the bases and underground. You do have excursions outside. Mostly that was scientific or in protection for, you know, looking for something that they had detected, other incoming craft or something of this nature that they're not IFOs, identified flying objects, you know, like we have here. We have IFOs, you know, and the military uses that term. We did all the time. It's an IFO, it's blah, 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 you know. UFOs, you don't understand, you don't know who or what they are, you know. So, but we've even the NASA craft up there have taken pictures of craft coming down. And the two probes that Russia and the United States sent out at first to Mars and to go to the moons were wiped out because there was no agreement on where they were going to go and what they were going to do. Mars is a clandestine operation, very compartmentalized, and we can right now only go in certain areas. That's why they fog out so much and smear so many pictures of what's going on Mars right now. It's unbelievable. But you can still see what's going on.
Now here in November, the Mars fifth annual Mars conference is being held in Mobile, Alabama.
Yeah, I was supposed to go to that.
Yeah, and
the reason I'm not going, I got a physical problem that I have to take care of, and maybe next year I'll be able to go anywhere and everywhere. But you know, when you get to 62, your body says, "Hey, certain things you got to listen to."
Yeah,
you know, so we do.
Yeah. But I was asked to talk on the Mars conference after you, which I said yes to. It's a big honor to me to be just. But I was actually asked, make me so happy, and that to me was a sign that what I have been doing of research about Mars here from planet Earth. I have never been on Mars. I would never say I've been there. It's a, how to say it in English, a recognition of what I've done. I was very happy, I'm glad, and I said, of course, yes. And what I'm gonna do when I am having that conference is I've already chosen the pictures that I will talk about, and I will talk about the orbiters that took the pictures, some of the data about the orbiters and the distance to the object. But I will show 4 specific pictures, and when I'm showing them at that conference, I will mention William White Crow, and that 4 pictures are pictures of visible, clearly structures on the planet of Mars.
Good.
Yeah.
Good.
So I will
Excellent.
do what I can with pictures to back up all that I can from the pictures that I have to what you have told us about. And that is going to be an amazing experience. I have, of course, seen all the pictures because it's mine, and I already made the what you call it, PowerPoint. So, and I have been sitting here and speaking to myself for hours and hours. So I think this is going to be exciting, and I hope you will like what I'm saying at the conference, and I will send you the video.
Oh, I know I will. I know I will. I'll love it. You know, send me the video, definitely. I'd like a part of this interview if you could send it to me, you know, or something like that too, so I can put it in my archives.
Yeah.
But I'm glad they got somebody else. So your experience, you know, you're asking the right questions, things of this nature. Andrew, Laura Eisenhower, you're going to have a great time there. I want to go so bad I can taste it, you know, but unfortunately, I can't. There'll be other times, you know. But the thing about it is, really, people have to get this out and they have to understand that we are up there. We are doing things up there and in the inner spaces of the planets as well. We're not just on Mars. You know, we have other platforms, 2 platforms that I know of for sure. One past Mars, one in between Earth and Mars. So there's no issue of it's going to take this period of time to get there, 9 months or whatever. That's what NASA and everybody's telling you. The true program that's going on, you know, you can be there in moments. You know, now it's time. Now you can teleport here and there. When I was first doing it, that wasn't the case. You know, but towards my end of my service and my experience with the whole Mars program, the time travel aspect and teleportation was normal and it was very efficient.
We are almost running out of time here, but before we end, I will like to hear your thoughts on the following. ESA sent it yesterday, an orbiter up to Mars, a spacecraft up to Mars that should send down a lander, and I can't pronounce the names. I'm not going to say it because I can't say this. and I'm even European, I should be able to say that name, but they sent a lander down to the surface of planet Mars, and they lost the transitions when it landed.
Doesn't surprise me.
Where'd
they land?
What?
That's my first question, is where did they land? What part of Mars did they land on? Sometimes what they like to do, you know, I mean, the feed will be cut off and they've lost the lander. You know what I mean? That does happen. It's realistic. Other times they'll land. I know this to be true. I've seen it. They'll land a lander and then you're not going to get the feed, but they got the feed going into another area. So NASA and everything, oh, we've lost the feed and everything, but the real feed, it has been switched to go to, let's say, NSA or another, you know, Edwards Air Force Base or something like this, Travis, whatever, or Space Command Center, so they can continue using that covertly. I think that that's a possibility that what could have happened right here.
Even if NASA and ESA are operating together, do you think NASA is playing a double game? Because we know that the signal is going through NASA's.
There's a high possibility of that. Like I said, it's happened before. You know, the Clementine mission going to the moon. It's all ops right there. You know, it went around the moon, took some pictures, and took off towards the sun. You know, I mean, that was a planned operation. No matter what they say, you know, the insiders and the people that know what's going on already know that was the case. The situation when you got something that's on Mars and it's landed in a different area, if that wasn't an okayed situation, you know, by those people behind the scenes, NASA's told where to put things. You know, if anything lands in an area where it's not told, then all of a sudden you don't get a signal. That's just the way it is. They shut it down. I don't know where this lander landed. I would have to look into that more.
I can't remember the name. I should have written it down here, but I just sit before we talked and tried to see some of the recorded.
I would say maybe they landed in a spot where there was a lot of activity, and they're like, "Oh no, we can't put this out there," because they've been trying to keep so much quiet, you know. But then again, they could have maybe lost the feed 100%. I don't really see that happening with the advancements in technology and the way they put things together now. So that's my personal thought.
William White Crow, thank you for taking your time to be on Mars Moon Space TV. You have blasted me away. I don't
try to blow people away.
I don't know if I can sleep tonight because I have a lot to think of. This has been amazing. And can you promise me that we can take 1.5 hours again another day and continue where we live today?
Well, with you, since I mean, it's just flowing, you know what I mean? I could sit here and talk to you for another hour with no problem, but I know you have things to do. So just contact me, and we can take 1.5 hours or 2 hours one of these days. And if you pick like a day like today, Thursday, like when we started, then it's my day off. So, you know, we can set the time whatever we want.
We are going to make a plan for the future. And for all of you out there, thank you for watching, and until we see us again, take care. Bye.
It's been a pleasure. Y'all have a good day now.